for this. May I please request all our esteemed delegates to kindly be seated. We will start with our next session. May I request Professor Shoibal Chattopadhyay, Professor and former Director, IIM Calcutta, to kindly come on stage, sir. Professor Chattopadhyay is the esteemed moderator of the session. Professor Chattopadhyay. Professor Ajoy Kumar Rai, Director, JIS, Institute of Advanced Studies and Research, Kolkata, former Director, BESU. Professor Shivram Khara, Vice Chancellor, Sharda University. Professor Khara, please come on stage, sir. Mr. Monojit Sengupta, Delivery Center Head, Industry Lead for Energy, Resource and Utilities, Tata Consultancy Services. Mr. Sengupta, welcome. Please join us on dais. Dr. Chinmay Chaudhary, Chief Scientist and Head, Organic and Medicinal Chemistry, CSIR, Indian Institute of Chemical Biology. Dr. Chinmay Chaudhary, welcome to you, sir. We would also request Professor V.N. Rajashekharan Pillai. Sir, yes, sir, please join us as a part of the forum. And at the same time, sir, at the end, will give the closing remarks. Professor Pillai, welcome to you, sir. Now over to Professor Chattopadhyay.
We're starting now. Yes. Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session on a roadmap for Viksit Bharat 2047 through future-ready universities. If you have attended the whole day, you would possibly realize this is the part 2 of the similar themed panel discussion. In the morning, we had a discussion for future-ready institutions, and now for future-ready universities or higher educational institutions. In the morning, essentially, future-ready in terms of curriculum and how startup, etc., can be scaled up. And now we will discuss 2 other areas. One is essentially translational research and innovation, and second, industry academia engagement or industry engagement and employability. So here is how we propose to go like that. After this brief introduction, I will request each of these esteemed panelists to share their journey. Maybe 3-4 minutes, max 5 minutes. They will share their journey, because they are all taking leadership positions either in academia or industry. So you'd like to know exactly what prompts them and what is the fuel for their journey, all these years and still going. After that, it will be kind of an open session on specific structured situation, and I have shared it with the panelists already. So here is what we propose to do, and this is for you also to connect. Essentially, in translational research and innovation ecosystems, the focus areas would be how to move from publications to patents. We publish a lot of papers in India, but very few has this translational nature of the research to take it to the lab, take it to industry, essentially looking at patent issue of these. So essentially how research can be sort of taken to the industry for practical use. It is no longer just a research publication in a research, science peer-reviewed journal. How this can utilize, our industry can utilize it, is what we will discuss. And so moving from publication to patents, technology transfer offices, incubation centers and startup ecosystem. This is one area which over the last 8-10 years has come up in a big way in our country, because it is slowly coming on us that if everybody asks for a job, number of jobs are shrinking. And of course, we will touch with this issue of AI and ML, how it is shrinking even at a ever increasing pace. So important is, but our population is increasing. So entrepreneurship, startup, to look into new businesses is what will be the challenge. Government is giving a lot of effort, lot of support to this. What are the thinking of these panelists, esteemed panelists, is what we would like to hear. Then the industry funded PhDs. Again, another theme which is coming up over last 5-6 years from my personal experience. I think Ajayda can tell us more, because IITs have started this long time back. Other institutes are doing it only recently, last 4-5 years, which are essentially practice professors, professors of practice. People coming from industry, taking their experience to an university or educational setting and try to join hands with us. So this professor of practice, etc., and industry funded PhD is also coming up in a big way. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, IITs are quite veteran in all these research parks and cluster models. So we will primarily touch these issues. The questions that we have, and this is where I would request, after their individual introduction, is really to attempt to answer these questions. Why is India strong in publications but weaker in commercialization? How can institutions create lab to market pipelines? Should faculty KPIs include patents and startups? This is a very important question in today's time. Because gone are the old days where a faculty will come through a lot of interviews, maybe rigorous process, faculty joins, gets a tenure and serves for 40 years, or I don't know. I completed at 42 years. So many people at an early stage joining, and after 40 years they leave. When they leave, basically what kind of KPIs we had? Will it change? Because a future-ready institution with its future-ready faculty, should we follow the same KPI as we had 50 years back? Answer is possibly no. So what kind of KPIs should we have? Should we have patents as one measure? Should we have startups as one measure? So these are the questions I am throwing, and possibly each one will take turn to answer some of these. And then how can MSMEs be integrated into research partnerships? That's another big area now. Okay, so essentially, let's first discuss this translational research and innovation ecosystem, and then we'll come to the next one. So I will request each one of you to present yourself, introduce yourself, 3-4 minutes, and then we'll start this. Thank you. Ajayda, you will start? You will start?
I have already spoken about it. I will definitely start. Thank you very much for the very relevant points. Of course, I started in the morning putting a question, why universities? That was my question. It was a very positive question which I put, because we need to strengthen the university system, but at the same time accepting all the changes which are happening globally, looking at definitely the meaningful employment, meaningful graduation and meaningful employment of the students. And at the same time, the DNA of the university has to be maintained. That's very important. We are just looking at the Indian higher education system. And then what we will be by 2047, what we will be, the higher education system. For the Vikasit Bharat, what we are going to contribute. Universities are going to contribute. Universities are changing, but the very purpose of the university has to be maintained. For example, if it is the generation of knowledge, creation of knowledge, transmission of knowledge, application of knowledge. These are the things which are happening in the universities and colleges in this country. Tomorrow is the National Science Day. It is C.V. Raman's birthday. Not C.V. Raman's birthday. C.V. Raman invented the Raman effect. He showed on 28th February in Central College, Bangalore, the work he has done in Indian Association of Cultivation of Science when he was a railway division chief accountant of the Indian Railways in Calcutta. He did the PhD work and Raman. Just look at it. It was a very theory thing. But now, if you just look at the economic impact of the Raman spectrometer, you will find all over the world. That is, if you just look at the total economic impact of the Raman spectrometer, it will be much more than any other instrument which is invented in the world, the type of utilization. So it took a lot of time. So Raman, of course, the Honorable Minister of Education, Economic Advisor was also mentioning about the things actually, work integrated learning, all these things. He did part-time research. Of course, we know that he did part-time research. And then he was an accountant in Indian Railways. At that time, Indian Association of Cultivation of Science, that's why I mentioned in my earlier speech that Calcutta was the origin of many of these innovative thinkings. And now, after several years, we found it difficult even in universities to give provision for a accountant to do research in PhD. I think it was a little bit difficult in the university system. That was there. So tomorrow that we are celebrating, he demonstrated the Raman effect to the whole, to his own students in the Central College, Bangalore, which is now Bangalore University. And then he became director of the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. These are all things. So definitely, if you have the knowledge, you will also know, if you know that you have the knowledge, if you know the context of the society, context of the country, context of the globe, you will apply the knowledge also in the right context. So it is a question of knowledge and understanding the context of the knowledge. That is where the multidisciplinarity, the industry, the social sciences, languages, all these things are going to be important for the university. So of course, all the points I agree. For example, universities has to change. Universities have been changing, no doubt about it. But the concept of the university, everybody wants the university act. For example, in this, you know that the deemed university, I was in the higher education system for 55 years. The deemed university is only that nomenclature, that vocabulary is only in this country, nowhere in the world, deemed to be university. For what that was created, we know the reason. To just ensure that Indian Institute of Science and Indian Council for Agricultural Research gets the opportunity for awarding degrees. That is the origin of the deemed to be universities. Then good number of deemed to be universities have come. Good number of deemed to be universities. Now, the number of universities I mentioned is exceeding exceeding in a very big way, in a very fast way. And we need also universities. National education policy says we need universities, no doubt. We need universities. Universities, not just teaching only one subject only, probably one subject with lot of other, for one subject you can have a research institute, you can have several things like that. But a university, if the university has to serve its purpose, along with the subject, the basic sciences, humanities, social sciences, language and literature, all these things to be taught with technology. Then talking about technology is doing a very good thing. AI is transforming the world, no doubt about it. But technology cannot teach. Only teachers can teach. Teachers have to be equipped with technology. Teachers should know how the technology is integrated. And therefore, probably misconceptions like that the technology will take away the teachers. I think that is not going to happen. That is my conviction as a teacher. And therefore it's very important that the teachers should change themselves. When it comes to teachers, we are just looking at expanding the higher education system. There are 50,000 colleges. There are 30% of the colleges in this country with only one teacher, or just one full-time teacher. That is the fact. And there is a need for strengthening the university, collegiate education system in the country, adding AI, adding ICT, adding technology at all levels. Even AI may change after 5 years. Probably the teachers, the brain of the teachers will remain. They will adjust themselves. That is some sort of a incorrigible optimism I have, the belief I have in the university system in this country. That has to be retained. It can be a different proposition altogether, but not a different proposition. That is what is needed for a country like India.
Thank you. Let me go there.
I always feel comfortable talking in a standing posture. Distinguished panelists and my very good friend, Professor Shaival Chatterjee, the coordinator of this panel discussion. At the outset, let me thank all of you involved with ICC for organizing this great conference, so to say. And now in this particular session, the theme is translational research and industry academic collaboration. Now this is a very, very important area. And translational research, as you know, means that whatever we learn through the theory is just meaningless unless it gets translated. There are lots of innovations and inventions. In fact, day before yesterday, we celebrated IIT Kharagpur's Platinum Jubilee celebration. So they are in one of the seminars, these panel discussions. One of the speakers was a professor from MIT who is a Nobel laureate in physics. So he said that I do not know much of technology because I do, absolutely pure science, theoretical science. And I do the kind of science which will lead to lots of applications maybe after 20, 30 years. Technologists will think about how to translate that. So it's very interesting because after all, for a Nobel laureate saying this makes a lot of sense. Because he works in the area of, the gravitational field and the electromagnetic field and unification of the two. Now, translational research means that whatever you are doing, it must be translated. Let's see that in diverse areas, mostly this term has been used in the health science area, bioscience area, where lots of translational works are being done throughout the globe. Because after all, this is the area where directly the fruits of the research goes straight to the population, to innumerable number of people all across the world. So let's see that some of the examples of such things, like say the COVID-19, that pandemic which took place, as you have seen, that in almost a record time, Pfizer, Moderna, they came up with the COVID vaccine. How could they do it? From mRNA. So there had been the prior lots of research on RNA, DNA, RNA, messenger RNA, and then the final applications in extracting from the virus, the COVID virus, the appropriate forms of protein, and then to identify the drug, the vaccine, which will be effective on that. So it's very interesting that this is ultimately, it led to a translational research, which in turn led to the humanity's emancipation, I should say, because it was such a huge pandemic and crores of people, in fact, no part of the globe was spared. So this is something on a bigger scale. On a much smaller scale, even in our country, lots of work I know are being done in many universities, both in bioscience, in data science, in advanced material and manufacturing science. Let me just let me explain you some of the very interesting applications. We all know that battery or the energy sector is a very important sector today. Now, the batteries that we are using today, these are all, for example, the lithium-ion battery. Lithium as such is very costly, and extraction of lithium is very difficult. Not difficult per se, but then it has got a lot of, it is hazardous. It has got a lot of environmental impact as well. And most of these batteries, they come from China. Now, in our country, if suppose the university teachers, they want to recycle. Suppose everybody today knows that, okay, for sustainable development, we need recycling. So how will you do the recycling? So recycling means that you take the lithium-ion battery and then you have to extract the lithium from there, and without causing any environmental hazard. So this is very interesting. If you just go to even lead acid battery, because the electronic waste disposal will become one of the major challenges everywhere. So how do you do it? So you have to do that translational research. Everybody knows the chemistry behind it, but not many people truly knows the technology or the techniques which must be applied in the translational research, so that finally it becomes quite useful and goes to the industries. Lots of applications are now today, as you know, that AI is a buzzword. It's not a buzzword today. AI is, there is no one in globe who doesn't know what is AI, and maybe there's hardly any literate person who has not heard of the term LLM, large language model. Everybody talks about large language model, generative AI. The point that comes is, now these LLMs, they have been used in so many applications. You talk about any aspect of human endeavor, there is an application of AI, generative AI, agentic AI. There are lots of applications in diverse areas of human endeavor, whether it is health science, in data, in transportation, in energy science, in biology, in space science, and in your daily production of everyday things that matters. Everywhere AI has invaded, and it's invading so fast that people, they are very much worried that what is the next. It's a big challenge today. In fact, this is one thing I was mentioning, that when our institute, the first IIT in India, was being built in 1951, around the same time, the father of computers, the modern day computers, von Neumann, he was thinking about that this pace of technology, the AI, which will come at one stage, the pace will be so huge that the societal transformations, the regulatory mechanisms, the ethical value systems, they will not be able to compete with the pace of technological development. So he predicted that there will be a point which he, the singularity in physics, the black holes, That's single point. So the physicist is a very common thing. Black hole means where everything, it gets, concentrated in a single point and nothing escapes. Even the light, it doesn't escape when it moves along the black hole. Even light will be attracted towards that. So that is the physical science. In basic science, we use this kind of singularity. But technological singularity means when the societal movement becomes much less, the pace at which the technology moves becomes much, it outshines the pace of development of other things that human civilization comes. And possibly, we are now going towards a point of singularity. No one knows, in my opinion, in 10 years' time, there will be fantastic developments all around. And possibly within 20 years, we will start seeing a situation of technological singularity. Now, in doing that, we need again the translational research. Don't say that, okay, we will not do robotics. There are many people, they say that it is bad, AI is bad, we should not do it. Nobody can stop it. Whether I like it or not, it has got its own momentum. Technology has got its own momentum. Our students, our children, don't tell them that don't use ChatGPT. Whatever I will talk here, just you go to ChatGPT, you tell that, okay, today I have got this seminar and what should I talk? ChatGPT will give you a. So anybody who talks something in any forum, it's all available in ChatGPT. So don't tell your student that don't use it. But on the other hand, it's really very risky. Using this kind of a generative AI solutions, it's really absolutely bad for the humanity, for the future, for the imagination of those youngsters, and in general for the future of the whole civilization, where we are moving to. So we have to think about the procedures. In fact, the politicians, they must, first thing is the politicians now, instead of giving sermons, they should ponder over that what needs to be done, what kind of a regulatory measure or what kind of measures are required to ensure that our movement towards singularity becomes much less effective. I'll just tell you the transitory research using AI in so many directions. You might have known, those of you who are in maybe bioscience, we have got Professor Chaudhuri from IICB. So he's a medicinal chemistry man. So they do lots of medicines out of the chemistry of medicines. Now, people, those who are in bioscience and technology, you must be generating the proteins. They know that, okay, how to generate the proteins. It's a very bulky and very long thing. There had been about 2-3 years back, some newer techniques have been developed after the scientists worked for many, many years. And today, just a few days back, I found that OpenAI, who are the inventors of this ChatGPT, that is a 4, now 5 and all. Now they have started a big unit who are thinking about who will take care of biological science. And they say that no longer LLM is there. A new version has started that is known as PLM. Proteins can be synthesized by a lab robotics in very short time with a expense which is 1/20th of the conventional expense. So that's a huge thing. By the conventionally, we have got the large language model, they call it protein language model. That is translational. There are a number of such applications. My point is, how will you do it? We have got lots of ideas. We can do a lot here. But then where is the money? For translational research, you need money. And that's why I really like that terminology, that it is not only the translational research, but industry-academia interaction. Very unfortunately, we are now here. The next part I will talk about may not be very soothing to many people, to some people. That is, the industries in India, they just do not spend, forget about enough, very, very paltry amount. My point is, the industries people should sit here while such talks are going on, translational research. How many people here, we find that, okay, from all the private engineering institutions you are organizing, they do tremendously good work every time I find. But then the industry should come forward. At least say 3 industries jointly, you take up a project. In many such forums, I have talked about it. Only 3 to 4% is the annual their budget in R&D. And that too, excepting the Tatas. And Tatas, I think from TCS, you are from TCS. So we have got one of the speakers from TCS. So TCS, they will not go into, they really spend a huge amount of money amongst all the Tatas, amongst all the private sector companies. Now they, right from the beginning, Tatas, they were very clear about it. But the problem is that only the other day I was talking to TCS Innovation. So their head is my student at IIT. So he said, sir, now we are not allowed to do any MOU with private institutions, only with IITs. So long as I am with IIT, I can have a good amount of money for doing a good amount of research, joint collaborative research. But what about Professor Agarwal? What he will do? How in other institutions the research will come up? And this, this kind of research, today we need it. We need an absolutely different type of manufacturing technology. We talk about, say, engineering. Gone are the days when the mechanical engineers will do that conventional kind of, those workshop days are gone. What we did during our student days, those are gone. Now today it is an integrated manufacturing. It's a completely new era. So you have to do the 3D printing. Not only that, you have to do the 3D printing, the bioprinting. You can print your human organs. You can print a small room, a 3-dimensional structure in the lab. The point is that who will do it? How the management in the private institutions, they will not be able to spend that much of money. It's just impossible. Certain things I talk straight in front. So either the government has to spend for the sake of the younger generation of the country. China, they have done it. Why not we? China, they have done it. Because they are ministers, they don't go and talk here and there. Nobody is allowed. Just plan, spend, work, and act. That's all. It is your job. If I am the director somewhere, my job must be very much specified. It's not just talking somewhere here and there. And those of you who are attending, please, one thing, remember that these are all tall, big things. We need the coordination. We need the understanding the art of working together. You cannot do it alone. Forget about those days. And to my own institution, IITs, I used to tell that, okay, once IITs were built by B College, BESU, B College, IIST Shibpur, in 1950s. Now IITs have become big, so they look for MITs, Ecole Polytechnic. Okay, it's something like when you move up, you only keep on looking on top. Look at the bottom. These private engineering colleges, in fact, it's my fault also. For almost 2/3 of my life, I never looked at that. Now that after my retirement, after I joined here, and then I am quite, I know that you all are doing so well, that you have that kind of talent. Your students have got that kind of a talent. And many of them, this kind of talent, you develop something very rudimentary in the labs. Our students, they say, oh, it's fantastic. But then that's only the very rudimentary development. We need money to develop something which is truly meaningful. And there again, as I said, somebody should see the policies that China has done. Huge amount of facility for everybody. Shanghai University, if you go there, then they are, from their shops. I'm talking about 10 years back. One easy chair, kind of a beautiful pink easy chair model, thought that it looks so brilliant, so bright, so purchased it. And then I found that on this flat surface, there's a keyboard. And then on this side, there's a display. That's a small mobile phone. Can you imagine? That's what it is. Shanghai University students, if they could do it 10 years back, 20 years back, why not we? Are we anyway less talented or gifted than them? No. The major problem today is that our teachers, our students, you should understand that only sky is the limit. And those of us in the government or in the industries, please, please, please ensure that they get the inspiration of doing something great. And then only the whole country tomorrow, we will truly achieve Vikshit, Bikoshito Bharat. We all are looking for that day. Thank you very much.
So I am not a good speaker like Professor Ray. I like to speak with the laboratory bench. That is more preferred to me. So our director should come. Somehow she has gone to other assignment to Delhi. So that's why she deputed me to come over here to share some story, success and failure with all of you. Actually, I did after doing my doctoral work at University of California, San Diego. I joined IICB in the year 2006. And the first day when I entered to the director's room, director told me, how do you contribute to the mandate of CSIR? Because IICB is one of the constituent lab of CSIR. CSIR has 38 laboratories throughout the pan India. And in Calcutta, CGCRI and IICB, both are the sister lab and they are the constituent lab of CSIR. Now, anyway, director told me, how do you contribute to the mandate of CSIR and how you come to the theme of our CSIR? I told, sir, I need facilities. Without facilities, how I can contribute? Then he told, go to the reception, see one picture. Then with my colleague, I went to the reception. I watched a picture. Picture means there is a team of scientists. They are drinking some droplet. Then I asked, what is this picture? Then my colleague explained, this is Dr. Sushil Mukherjee and his team member. They are doing clinical trial. I mean, clinical trial, my God. They are directly consuming the formulation. because he's telling Dr. Shochi Mohan Mukherjee, it is the story of 1950s. Dr. Shochi Mohan Mukherjee and his team developed the oral vaccine against cholera. Cholera was pandemic, and it was dangerous situation is going on in India, throughout India. And clinical trial was in infancy stage. So scientists at IICB, Shochi Mohan Mukherjee and his team, they have developed the oral vaccine against the non-pathogenic strain of Vibrio cholerae, and they are trying how it will be useful to the patient. They try the clinical trial by ourselves. So they are problem to see feel that picture, and they are consuming that world. Anyway, then I told that after 1 month, this group of people had got they are the real genius. There's no clinical trial, nothing. What I wanted to tell you, this is the message to you for the first day. So of course, then this zeal was ignited in my mind, how I can really contribute to the CSIR IICB. Though I practice at the time, I asked myself, I don't know how good or how, but I am really passionate to my works. So one thing, in the last 2021, we took up one project to develop the vaccine against, to develop the drug in the SARS-CoV-2 development of drug is very difficult. But anyway, our team has recently developed a molecule which is showing the efficacy much better than remdesivir and similar to Nirmatovir and Ritonavir as a oral drug. And we are at the final phase of IND filing with other in and we have taken the patent, and very soon we will find the right. So not only myself, my colleague, they are also trying their best. They are trying in the cancer area, ovarian cancer, breast cancer. They are and not only the small molecule. We are trying to use biological cell-based therapy, different kind of CAR T cell, immunocell. These kind of cells are being used. These are the modern trends. Biologics are using as a medicine. So IICB, they are not only developing the small molecule as a drug, but also different kind of biologics can be used as a medicine. So they are doing that. So as a success story, if you see last 25 years, IICB has developed the Prostalin. You can check the any medicinal shop, I think the store, you can get it. Prostalin, the drug against cancer. Asmon, the drug against the asthma. Benda plus pharmaceutical. And very recently, we have developed Upika. Upika is nothing but a diagnostic kit, serum-based diagnostic kit, which can very quickly detect the leukemia. And 2 years back, it got the gold prize, gold award from the Ministry of Science and Technology. So with this, many things are going on, and why we are basically the antiviral, to develop the antiviral therapy along with the SARS-CoV-2. I am working the dengue also. So we have the transcriptional unit. We have launched it just 7-8 years back. We have the GLP lab, and many people are So not only we are doing the publication, the many brilliant students, basically they are doing all the work. And along with that, we are devoting substantial amount of time to develop the drug, diagnostic, and also this software for brain imaging, how we can replace the MRI by the indigenous diagnostic. And not only that, we are also developing process. The drug which are going to be finished, the patent is going to be finished within few, or it has been finished. So developing the process, the cheap, cost-effective process, such that this process can be transferred to the industry and then manufacture the drug with a low cost. That really it is at this because the Indian population, the access of the low cost drug, we are all so with our sincere, small but sincere effort, we are trying to review, I think, the national, try to achieve the national with this. Thank you. Thank you. I am Professor Ram Khara, Tata University. Just to tell one thing, I will take a few of the characters of Tata University. Current age is last 2 years we applied almost 780 patents, and we have got 300 patents award. Why I am telling this? Because one more criteria also I will tell that last year we have published 1850 papers. 53% are Q1 and Q2 journals. Thing is that in the leadership, in alignment with the Viksit Bharat, how do we align our university ecosystem is the first, because translational outcome will come if you have a proper platform in the university. That I believe the leadership. Tell about 2 points. I think Ray Saab has extensively told, and being a very candid heart, he has spoken from the heart, and really it is very admirable. He has spoken all the things, but still I will emphasize on the China model, which has Sir has already touched upon. Now the theme is that roadmap of Viksit Bharat. So we need to first understand the understanding is there that what we should attain, if the India should achieve that, then we will be recalled or we will be respected as India is a big developed country. Let me put the point here, it is not the money. Many of the countries in this world is there, their GDP is very high. Even per capita income is more than $24,000. I think Hanga sir has rightly pointed out, I was listening very carefully. He has very thoughtfully put certain points that it's not the economic development, the GDP by 2047, you are bringing it to say 24 trillion. And then per capita income may be around $8,000 a person. It's more important what you have emphasized in the model. Your prestige and your recognition you present in the world. So behavioral aspect is there, discipline is there, infrastructure is there, and human development index is there. Because those are the things you are not the soft skill, soft skill you are not presenting. Only cannot earn the Viksit Bharat. Now, still development is required, and what are all major missions have been taken by Government of India recently. I think last week I attended one inaugural session also, the groundbreaking session where came just adjacent to our university to sitting on companies. So Adityanath has given
It is that in the semicon, in the National Quantum Mission, National Critical Mineral Mission, your 6G mission, likewise, many more technology missions that India has taken up. One thing is that we have to have indigenous development, removing the dependency of our country towards the other country, avoiding lot of blackmailing in the critical scenario, and gradually, if you have not have the capability to export your technology, you cannot make your GDP beyond certain limit. And then internationally interdependence, that thing will happen. Both Mr. Modi, Israel, including the president agriculture and defense manufacturing, security. Now, for example, if India is aiming that they will be leader in 6G deployment, but we do not have any similar technology in India. Even in the deployment level, or if IT technology we have developed certain things, and then if we deploy effectively, then is computing and distributed AI, how common people can access, and then at lower cost, lot of facilities or technology facilities can be given. Semicon is very difficult in the university to establish lab in alignment with the India mission. Even if you establish a very small lab, and that lab is very costly. And Sarah has rightly said that at least it was the private university. If my university is 1,000 crore revenue, and here I need to invest 40 crore over and above other expenditure is very difficult. But still we have invested. So if this is the roadmap of the Viksit Bharat, and that only can be done through the university. Now I bring for the China model. But China adopted in around 2000, and now already Sarah has told that some of the universities, their publications and you see their development. Why India failed, it did not explain or not discuss that, but let us move forward, because sometimes also some critics came that even 20 years AICT did not revise their curriculum. So this is the way India was. But things are changing now. Now, lot of flexibility in the curriculum, interdisciplinary, and I put on record there in Southern University is the only university here you will see there. So, last 4 years, I have taken the mission that somehow I have tried to follow the China model. Focus on research center and bring certain world-class researchers there in my lab. But initially, I have to invest. This investment was there in the China in the government level. They brought 20 years before some of the top-notch researchers from the USA, giving the same salary, more ambience, more facilities, you establish the lab. And if you go the product-oriented research, then market. Make your first of all good successful, then gradually will capture the market, and they are successful. But we didn't do that. Anyway, being a private university, a small effort. Say, for example, you can see the AI lab advertisement given at the back. We are the first university to procure H100 supercomputer, and first time in this model came after A1. So we had one scientist from Harvard back. And then I told the management, say, we have to invest to prepare this lab 10 crores. This person should have to put good salary. 5 crore will be this, and then lab another crore. And remarkable achievement. By doing this, another 3 crores funding we have got from the government. So our medical data is huge because we have a very good medical college. In fact, it is the number one private medical college in UP, where the private seat fills before the government seat. And also we have established another first cancer hospital, private cancer hospital, around investing 400 crores. So you can understand the kind of data, medical data we have. And those data we are using for AI modeling, diagnostic modeling. And some of the successful results we have got. Another case study or example I can give, that when COVID happened, one scientist was there from ICM, he was retired that time, and he came and proposed, I want to establish one immunology and a microbiology lab, virology lab, and that will be the first lab in the private. This much equipment will be there. Anyway, very good findings. The two findings are there. I'm an electrical engineer, but I still trying to meet it. What he has done, the COVID, he revealed us that small holes where oxygen passes, that blocks. So now we have taken out this data and then we are analyzing that block using some protein and it can cure. Second thing is that in the cancer cell eats the cell, so it spreads. So he has proposed some artificial food for cancer cell. At least the pace of growth of the cancer will be very, the patient can survive for a very long time. So that patent we have applied in the USA patent. More labs are there. We are establishing final phase 6G development lab. We from IIT Delhi will help us. But from IT, all the use cases you can develop, then you can move towards 6G. That type of lab will be there. But you need to invest first. For the budget is difficult, but in private, sometimes budget is very difficult. But still, if willpower is there, you can do some of the cutting edge research even within IIT. Our chemical research, life science research, and biotechnology research are with IIT. We are running 44 government funded projects. So, translational research is really in the university, in alignment with the Viksit Bharat roadmap 2025, we need to establish the university. For that, investment is required, space is required, and then right kind of people are there, either from NIH, USA, or ICMR, or AIMS. Professor Hassan Padma Shri, he has joined with us. 7 crores. But establishing lab itself, we have invested. So this kind of approach in the private university can be some translational and meaningful research. And thereby, you can contribute to the Viksit Bharat. Anyway, there are many more research labs in my university. You can explain, but we are now focusing that entire whatever government missions are there, in that mission, how quickly we can establish the lab. We can present ourselves that yes, we are doing translational research and contributing towards the development of India. And alongside, we are able to publish very good quality paper and patents. I think many more speakers have some point to be taken. So thank you very much for giving opportunity. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First of all, my gratitude to the organizing team for inviting me on this. But I guess I am the odd man out, definitely on the stage. Anyone else from industry in the audience? Nobody's raising their hand. Okay, so maybe I'm odd man out here as well.
They were all industry.
So I will keep it short. I will briefly introduce myself. I am in industry for more than 30 years now. Graduated from Jadavpur on electronics and telecom. And then TCS was the first company to come to the campus, got my job, and I'm still in TCS. Okay. I have been fortunate enough to travel around a bit in terms of I have was in sales. But in some of my roles, I have interacted with foreign academic institutes. In my current role, I do interact with a lot of academic institutes in this part of the country. So I think translational part has been covered adequately by my previous speakers. So I will probably get into the industry academia connect part. Okay. Now, don't take it seriously. but I'm on a jokingly, I'm saying, I'm the industry guy and I'm coming last in the sequence. Is it just symbolic or is there an under, is there a message? Okay. I did not choose. I was asked to sit here. No. No. So, no, having said that, I think coming from TCS, coming from Tata Blue, uh, I think is I see. Uh, that's true, but I think one part that academia or need to understand is from business point of view, the first question that gets discussed in the boardroom is ROI. So return on investment. So if industry is investing X, they will make the choice that the return is max or most probable. And in the hierarchy of as we stand in the country, obviously the IITs, IIMs, ISCs is the priority. But it doesn't mean that the good idea cannot come. I can share my own experience in the last 2.5, 3 years. Like some of you are aware, Tata Group conducts a social entrepreneurship test, and I have been part of the jury last years, basis my and I have fantastic ideas and startups coming from remote places in India, coming from Jharkhand, Bihar, Rajasthan. So it's not that the talent and the skill set is limited in only the top grade colleges. That's not that kind of, but it has to surface. And when it comes to business, as I said, we look at the most probable places where we probably get the maximum outcome. Okay? Now, in terms of industry academia connect, I have a difficult question for the academic people when it comes to that. But it has to be where both academia has taken forward and industry has taken this step. Just an idea. How many faculties are given sabbatical to be deputed in industry? I don't know. Just why do you allow your faculties to have sabbatical? Go and spend in industry 1 year, 2 years. Okay. But I don't know how much is currently happening. Students, yes, it has been expanded now in terms of time frame. But then, not every colleges and mostly coming from the government colleges, they don't really have the setup where they are working out a arrangement with. They actually leave the students to fend for themselves, okay, and it becomes a problem. Okay, not every student can have the connect to get an industry internship. Okay, so there is no proper placement of. I'm talking about the government colleges in our country as of. They don't have the framework to assist the student to get the proper internship in the industry. Okay, now obviously more research related work which will be shared between academia and industry. And when I think there was a question that we have so many patents. Now, there was an article few days back in the newspaper in Times. The amount of patents filed and granted. I hope some repeat that numbers. And that also answers the question why IITs or IITs. Okay. So, first of all, it is not easy for a student or for an academic world to run through the process of IP filing, looking at the commercialization part. So what is required is from theory to productization. And that is not easy for academia. Industry will because we know how to make it happen. But also academia has to approach that I have this idea, can you help me in productization? Then industry can come forward. So in TCS, example, I think IIT has example known to all all of you, but TCS has their research lab within the IIT Madras Research Park, just next to the IIT Madras campus. Recently, IIT Kharagpur has set up the research park in town. I'm sure you are aware, most of you are aware. And our research team, mostly coming from MScs, PhDs in different science and different other fields. So our researchers are actually from the research park of IIT Kharagpur. Okay, and again, I'm some of you are already aware. TCS has a very strong network ecosystem with COIN innovation. Network typically connects our customers, our own researchers, different academicians coming from global universities and also Indian universities, startups, and our partners. Partners mean different product companies. Okay? We can leverage the entire ecosystem. That is where if the student has an idea that this has the know-how to keep it in assistance, this framework, the partnership framework that we have, and we actually engage it for our customers as well. So a lot of our customers, if we talk about Kolkata, every day you come to TCS office, you will see our customers in our office. We actually encourage them to go and spend time, give us some use case which is related to their business. And in today's AI/ML world, it's much more relevant to know. And we actually try to build on that. So this is a model that TCS is doing. I'm sure lots of industries will be happy to move into that model. That's where the connection will happen with industry academic. At one time, it has to be sustained from both parties. The last tricky question that I have for the academic world. Okay. I'm not sure whether it's right or wrong, but let me ask the question. What is the mechanism? How we convert a person's industry experience to certain academic equivalent degree positions? Because what I believe in Indian industry run after degrees, not the real life experience. That's why my question is, somebody coming from 35 years experience, just graduate, or looking for a master's with X number of years of experience. I think academic world has to find a way to embrace industry professionals. I don't think it is widely accepted. Degrees still matter. I think I'm not saying degrees does not matter, but if you look at this, I mean, a lot of China model has been talked about. I think US is here. They have been where they are today because of their entrepreneurship and innovative ecosystem. They actually encourage practical application of that. And that is where over the last 60 years they have made this progress. Okay. And that now in our country, I don't think it has happened. So somewhere I think we have to give proper weightage. I'm not saying more than degree, but equivalent to the person's real life experience. And that is where I think it can be much more competitive for both industry and academia. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for very interesting idea on exactly what all we can do in terms of industrial academic collaboration, and in terms of exactly how future. Before I come to some quick fire round where I would ask each one of you some questions, couple of points about what Manoj has raised, very pertinent questions. First, the answer is yes. For professor of practice, government has only started recently. It always starts late. There is no doubt about that. So it's only about a couple of years back, or 3 years back actually, when government started giving notice, and that is for the government institute. I am not sure about what happens in private engineering colleges or private management colleges. But for us, suddenly the Joint Secretary
properly feels to me that you have CGA, CGA. And then we started this. The roadmap was created, right? Good field there. We started with some equivalent experience, but everybody can have because the portal has the option. It's already during my tenure, and they actually all of them are from Togo. I don't consider them as professors. But they are retired. Forget about that. Coming back to the question about how girls, how come, you also ask, not only you should also ask how many without getting an invitation, nobody will jog and go in the game. Right? So you have to do exactly what, and I can make you turn on investment. I cannot expect that you will give me a red carpet welcome if I don't bring something for you. It goes without saying. But at the same time, both sides must join hands to have it. These are my just rejoin just excellent discussion on all. Some quick questions I'll start with Ajay. So you can sit there. It is quick question. You know, yeah. I will have 3 questions for you. One is you tell me one reform India must implement in higher education by 2030. One.
In my opinion, India must reduce bureaucracy totally within. Bureaucracy is the greatest hurt.
ঠিক আছে আমি আবার আসবো So, if you will finish, right? Yeah. Same question. One reform India must implement in higher education by 2030.
What hurdles we are facing in the government organization, lot of bureaucracy. We cannot move ahead. Stringent and administrative reforms.
Similar
should
thing
must-
and now Kara, reform
Reforms not
in
230
higher education.
230 will be too late. So immediate some reform is equal to A, NRF, whatever the rules they are formulated, the private universities are excluded. I personally put a note in the parliament and it is debated. I am sure that. So those are the things. And one more thing, those committees, even Biksit Bharat, Shiksha Adhikar, are from reputed private institutes or private universities who are eligible, any members are there. So government has to involve all the stakeholders in their committee decision making, take appropriate input. And rightfully, one more point, bureaucracy means no. Now the and the separation between private and government should be removed.
Question also about
Uniform dealing.
No, I think,
reform in higher education.
yeah, I think it's already spoken. I will coin it differently. It's more like agile academic governance, where I think in Indian context, students should be able to exit if it is financially and otherwise some point in time continuance is a problem, but they should have a credit bank somewhere so they can again come back.
Government yeah. But that again, once every graduate must possess by
adaptability. By 2047, for example, graduates after 5 years, all these scenarios will change. But the graduates should have the capability to adapt the changes with the adaptability in one word. To the other question, what the complete deregulation of higher education, complete deregulation of higher education.
sir, very new.
This is, I was telling that.
largest academic organization.
So that is the point.
From you, it really can.
It's completely happened to economic theory. Right? What things are happening in economy, industry, in this country, which is because when Manmohan is minister, and completely, when I say deregulation, if there are frauds, there has to be mechanisms to stop that. It has to be criminal. But just putting some regulations and then on papers, that will not regulate the university, not regulate the institution. And then provide complete autonomy to these several 50,000 of higher education institutions in this country.
That's basically impossible in our experience. No. About graduate, one skill, every graduate must pass by 2040.
It's not skill,
But they must inculcate a sense of honesty, integrity, and courage. We must ensure that they learn to ask questions. Learning to ask questions is the most important feature of any student.
One skill every graduate must possess.
Yes, skill development is very crucial because in our
Specific skill.
one
This is a
skill,
very specific question. One skill every graduate must possess by 2040.
I think the digitalization,
Digital.
smart in digitalization, that is required.
Yes. Dr. Khara.
I will again be side of the soft skills because hard skills anyway inherently they will acquire by 2047, including AI skills. The patience and these skills will be very crucial by 2047 because they are becoming isolated from
Very.
the real world.
Let's come back. Yeah. Yes.
I think it is partially covered. I will just add on to this. Sequence should be learn, unlearn, and then relearn. Because the way technology is shifting, whatever the candidate student learn today will be obsolete in probably 18 months of time. So there was a commercial shock laga. If you have, so it is like they will get the shock of their life every 18 months or 12 months. They should be mentally prepared for.
Final question. One structural change, you already started that. So if you want to find, but you can still elaborate. One structural change needed in governance of institutions.
for example,
Governance of institutions.
governance of institutions. For example, governance of one thing which is happening right now in this country is the HECI. Of course, I do not know the Sanskrit word of it. Exactly, HECI. Higher education count. India combining UGC, AICT, and NCT. And then we want to say that multidisciplinary systems prevail in university. You know about money, you know about so the government departments, for example, medical education, medical colleges are under the Ministry of Health. Okay, Ministry of Health. Then agriculture is under the Ministry of Agriculture, but they want everything to come together. But the HEC is joining three departments. UGC and the AICT. But if you want real multidisciplinarity, the government should also ask in them multidisciplinary. They should also be
Completely isolating the academic institutions from politics.
Yes.
No politics. And the heads of the institutions, they must know that
This is the era of integration and not division.
Strength in the student pursue high quality research, particularly its thinking. They must raise their competence and they must come up with creativity. That is the real need in our, particularly in R&D at this to compete China, USA, and the pressing need of India right now.
Important structural reform in the curricular. Actually, the India government should take a note of the policies understand what they do. We have 7, 8 regulatory programs. We have NMC, Bar Council, Nursing Council, Pharmacy Council, Dental Council, and Architecture Council, Agriculture. But thing is that still national education policies general science, BCom and all. We have come out with this opinion. But thing is that government should take deliberate on bringing all these councils together and what common some of these skills we're talking about courses, common courses can be made part of it. Otherwise, even you cannot touch upon a single credit in medical or dental, and then in pharmacy and nursing, there are a lot of debates. So they are not about thinking. So how they can keep overall some say community study. So community engagement NEP is talking about. But you don't have any scope in regulatory you implement over and above you have to do. Then we are facing problem. So similarly, some of such courses should be made compulsory common credit for all the programs in the national credit framework.
Coming from industry, I think what I will suggest, the innovation councils, the technology transfer office we talked about, they themselves should be governed as if it's a startup. So they should demonstrate themselves the startup mindset and ensure that commercially they are viable. Okay, it's not that they're managing their own revenues and also managing their own expenses, more like small business unit by themselves.
Thank you, everybody. Just one final comment. I'm sure many of you have read this article, a very, very end of detail. Narvik article from it talked about two persons, Elon Musk and Bill Gates. Of course, both are known for a lot of interesting reasons, but this one, for a change, is for a genuine cause. And they have been joined with another person who was the Nobel laureate of 2021, physics. What was the achievement of Nobel laureate? He actually got Nobel Prize in 2021 based on dynamic systems. And then he tried to apply this research, translational thing, as we are taking, in economy, like Indian economy. It's a dynamic system. And if I apply that research and what we got, this Nobel laureate and later on other people, it's a very, very alarming thing. What they are saying is, jobs are shrinking is not a big deal. Of course, AI and ML and many speakers have already introduced, or rather very eloquently said, you cannot stop the speed of, all these things. It will come. But then humanity also should not go away. So exactly what is the prescription for that? Now, these two persons, I don't have great respect for either of them, Elon Musk and Bill Gates, but Elon Musk said, give them an uniform basic income to everyone in the world. Why? Because people are losing jobs. Very soon there will be no such regular job for them. So they are coming into the society. And we all globally, all over. Okay? So at least ensure one thing, UBI, uniform basic income. That was Musk's baby. Musk has been opposing it for quite some time. That's one reason I love him. That everybody should get some money, not for providing something, but being a citizen of this global earth. And following that, he'll get some interest. I said, so what do you mean? Where will this money come from? Everybody has to be given a uniform income. Where will this money come from? We are talking of billions and billions of dollars. So he said, well, tax the robots. Because these robots are taking jobs from the human beings. So of course, robots are not of their own. Robots are owned by businessmen. No, don't just tax the business. Business tax will be different now, based on robots. And how one single robot, if one single robot performs the jobs of 20 individuals who have lost jobs, already TCS, Infosys, they are all jumping in a blender. What will happen to them? No of it. So obviously, if you tax, then this problem can exactly what will happen. We don't know. But we are looking forward to thank you very much. Kind attention. No, I will open it up for many people. You have your question, please. You start with the question.
Sir, it was a very enlightened discussion. Thank you a lot from all of you. Sir, one small point that I would like to add over here is for your consideration and for your point of view. Sir, in the last 9 days, 77 lakhs applications have been submitted in West Bengal. Jubosati. 77 lakhs. 1,500 rupees per month. Think about that mind when you are talking. We are talking about dreams. Think about it. That is number one. Number two, Professor Ajoy Rai started, Professor Pillai started, that everything started in the city of Kolkata, and yes, Sevi Raman had worked over here. Sir, kindly go to the colleges, affiliated colleges of Calcutta University. You are also a product of Calcutta University, and kindly see how the number of physics, chemistry, mathematics students dropping in the last 10 years. Kindly see. Just see. And kindly tell me how you can create a very large scientific, technologically enabling society by reducing the number of students who are not studying science in the first place. Sir, talk a lot. In the cold room, it is possible. But the point is, the practical area is going to be very volatile, very difficult. Kindly think about it and kindly answer. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? From
I have been blessed because such a big forum, and as researchers, most of the researches that we do are open source data sets because we don't have access to proprietary data sets. Since we have industry person on stage, it's a request for a framework where proprietary data sets are also available for research. Thank you.
yes, there is actually government with certain data sets from here and other places available only under what they call this that it will not utilize for commercial purpose because government is the owner of that. However, if you enter into an agreement with any of the academic institutions, and if this academic institution has that data set, you should be able to share it only with non-disclosure agreement properly. There must be an NDA that you sign because you cannot commercialize that data. That is the whole point government is saying. Government is making some of these. In fact, in the developed West, many of these data sets are publicly available. You go to say any university, and there you will see many data sets which are there. Yeah. In India, it always comes a little late, but of course, when it comes with all its, thing. India is also doing that now. All these, courses, Swayam and other courses, these are publicly available. Just like the huh? corporate data set, corporates can say. They have already given the answer that what is ROI for them. Not, data is not so why will they unless you give them something? What,
No,
what
no.
do you have to offer?
Sir, we are doing research. For example, I have my mentor here also. So in our papers, in our published papers, we have found consistent patterns, consistent correlation, in fact, causal relationship also. Only problem is all the related work in the research, if you look up in Google Scholar also, it's all on open source software. It's, is there a way where we can access right in software data sets also?
I think, to my knowledge, there has to be some framework agreements, okay, at an individual level or with the organization that you are part of, so that this can be enabled in a framework, because there are a lot of GDPR, GPDP sensitive areas we have to take corporate world, but it is doable, but please have a legal framework. It cannot be just open access like anytime anybody can.
Thank you very much. It is a very lively session. So one question from the academic point of view, because this morning we have been talking about changing the pedagogy, etc. So regarding the assessment system, how do you think we can evolve the assessment system from a memory testing to, say, measuring creativity or adaptability or societal impact of the students?
It is happening. I mean, with my own experience at IIM Calcutta, I must say, when I joined 30 years back, what I saw as assessment, all this pen and paper, harrowing nights, 5 days to 7 days. Those days we had only 120 students. Now we have 550 students and only one program. Now we have 5 programs. So obviously, pen and paper evaluation assessment is done away with. But yes, but also right, it's little slow. It's little slow. We should speed up the reform of it. Why should assessment be always on something that is replicable? So assessment could be something also different, okay, like a project or some such thing where 5 people join together to do something that can be assessed very well for the whole course. Matter of fact, our courses are like that, where there is no exam. I am also, there are some courses where there is no exam, but you have to do a project, and project you must pass at the instructor's satisfaction. Then you get the certificate. So it's happening, but slow, in my opinion.
Autonomous institutions, that is possible. The university.
I would not say, because there are so much chancellors, proprietary universities are there. They are already highlighted lot of genuine difficulties. One that I will reiterate, industry also essentially have to look at things differently. Because apple and orange, these are two different things. Also, if academic institutions as government institutions get certain support, why not others? It's a big question. I also started realizing that we have been unfairly treated, unfair in the competitions for the government. Okay, thank you very, very much. It was a really enjoyable session. Thank you.
Professor Pillai, he was supposed to, yes, actually for laptop for the closing, that was much required, as Professor Chattopadhyay has.
Thank you very much. I don't want to give a personal statement or anything of the sort. I'm an incorrigible optimist.
I sincerely believe that if we strengthen the bottom of the pyramid in this country in education, we will survive. The bottom of the pyramid. Bottom of the pyramid is the 50,000 colleges. Of course, I mentioned about the engineering college, but medicine. We are talking about the tip of the pyramid only when it comes to higher education. We are thinking of IIMs, we are thinking about IITs, we are thinking about big universities. That is the tip of the tip of the tip of the pyramid. But the bottom of the pyramid is the of the colleges and universities which has survived, which are even now doing well. They have contributed significantly. ROI in higher education. Don't take that word. We are all here because of the graduates of the conventional university system in this country. Conventional university. ROI is the quality of life enhancement. If institutions have contributed, focused on basic education and nutrition, any society, any country, if a particular state, if any particular society was concentrated on basic education and basic nutrition, that society has come. Any country in the world which has concentrated on basic nutrition and basic education, that country has come up. And then we are talking about the ROI. When Faraday in electricity, he has told before Prime Minister and public exposition, he showed the 2 miles, then made a spark. Then the Prime Minister of England asked, what is the big thing you are going to contribute this by this making this park? That was the thing. And then Faraday replied, you can read it in the public, Royal Society Chemistry. Faraday replied, Mr. Prime Minister, you will charge for this invention fund. That just several years it took. And then we are talking about artificial intelligence. Is an Indian statistician that made the today. It is a statisticist, C.R. Rao, who was in the ISI. And the first paper on artificial intelligence, that his paper, but without that analytics, without that thing, nothing would be possible. Your point, without statistics, without calculus, without humanities, without social sciences, artificial intelligence would be only an app. We should not be just wrapping the apps of different institutions. We should create real apps, create real knowledge, strengthen the base of the pyramid, and stay with us. Industries are supporting. Definitely industries are supporting. Of course, he was mentioning, we were the first university in the country. Indira Gandhi National Chandrasekhar Sain. It's a Bengali name. He was TCS heading that. So we start doing. Are responding. The colleges and universities in this country are responding. And these are all industrial veterans are also started university. You know, the genesis of the Institute of Science, Bangalore. It was a conversation between Swami Vivekananda and Tata in a ship that made it possible to start the Indian science. So I think I am an incorrigible optimist, but we should concentrate on the base of the pyramid, the colleges and universities. Colleges and state universities in this country to come up. And then we will succeed. Otherwise, pyramid. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would request to felicitate our speakers. We have felicited, sir. So already in the morning. Yes. Ajoy Roy. Sir, please come at the front.